Pictures appearing to show Andrew Mountbatten Windsor crouched over an unidentified woman are featured in the latest disclosure of files linked to the late American sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
The newest batch of Epstein files was released last night, and hidden inside those records is a chain of emails revealing that Jeffrey Epstein personally set up a meeting between Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and a 26-year-old Russian woman only weeks after Epstein completed house arrest for soliciting prostitution from a minor. Not years later, not before his conviction, but just weeks after. According to the emails, Epstein described the woman as 26, Russian, intelligent, attractive, and reliable, and told Andrew that she already had his email address. Andrew responded that he would be happy to meet her and even asked Epstein in a troubling way whether she would be bringing a message from him. This exchange took place in August 2010, at a time when Epstein had only just regained his freedom.
Discuss for a moment the avalanche of information emanating from the Jeffrey Epstein files and, the further revelations about the former Prince Andrew, now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Let's discuss this.
One message actually opens with Andrew asking how he was, saying it must feel good to be free, to which Epstein replied that it was great to be free of many things, a response that by itself says a lot about the tone of their conversations at the time. Andrew was in his early 50s then, still using his HRH styling in emails and signing off as a Knight of the Garter, and he was actively organizing another trip to see Epstein in New York, even complaining in one message about all the opportunities he felt he was missing and promising that he would visit him soon. 2 months later, he followed through on that promise. Andrew stayed at Epstein's Manhattan townhouse in December 2010, which is when the now notorious photograph was taken of the two of them walking together in Central Park. That image has since become one of the most defining visuals of Andrew's connection to Epstein, and it was captured well after Epstein's conviction. This detail matters because Andrew later repeatedly claimed that he had ended all contact with Epstein in 2010. In his 2019 Newsnight interview, Andrew maintained that his trip to New York had only one purpose, saying he went to confront Epstein in person because ending the friendship over the phone would have been, in his words, the coward's way out, and that he believed it was more honorable to look him in the eye and tell him their relationship was finished.
There's photographs of him massaging a person whose face is redacted, blocked away. We've got more emails. There's emails involving...
The problem is that the emails do not back up that version of events. The newly released records show Andrew continuing to communicate with Epstein even after that visit, and they also place him socializing, attending private gatherings, and remaining inside Epstein's social circle rather than cutting off contact. During that December trip, Epstein organized an extremely private screening of the King's speech for Andrew, with no press and only a small, carefully selected guest list. According to emails from Epstein's publicist, Peggy Siegel, Andrew was even promised a print of the film from Harvey Weinstein, who served as an executive producer. Weinstein, Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell had all been photographed together years earlier at Princess Beatrice's 18th birthday party at Windsor Castle. That image has resurfaced repeatedly as these files have been released, because it highlights how closely connected these circles were long before anyone claimed to understand the full scope of Epstein's crimes. The emails also disclose a dinner hosted by Epstein during Andrew's stay in New York, with a guest list that included Woody Allen and his wife Soon-Yi, along with other high-profile media figures.
Fergie as well. And it just paints a terrible picture of a relationship between Andrew and Fergie that had with Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted pedophile.
Peggy Siegel described Epstein's home as one of the largest private residences in Manhattan and encouraged guests to attend what she called a quick, fun dinner, emphasizing that it would be unofficial and highly private. In another message, she even suggested the possibility of private time with Andrew. And this is where the story becomes much harder to dismiss as coincidence or simple poor judgment. One email shows Andrew offering Epstein dinner at Buckingham Palace in 2010, assuring him there would be plenty of privacy. The message was sent from an account labeled The Duke, and was signed simply with an A. Epstein replied by saying he wanted private time with Andrew, and asked whether he should bring several women with him to add some energy. This was not the behavior of someone cutting off contact. The documents also contain a lengthy chain of emails between Andrew and Ghislaine Maxwell.
And amongst the more than 180,000 images released are these pictures showing the then Prince Andrew kneeling over and touching a female whose identity has been hidden. There's no context, location, or date provided.
Maxwell calls him Sweet Pea and writes to him the day after the Queen Mother's death, expressing affection and sadness that they had missed each other. Andrew responds with kisses. Another message, signed The Invisible Man and widely believed to be Andrew, jokingly refers to someone as super sperm and asks whether they are having more children. There's also an email from Maxwell after Andrew declined a trip to Epstein's island, in which she writes that she and 5 other stunning redheads will just have to play with ourselves, signing off with "I love you lots." Again, these are not the messages of someone creating distance. The latest release also includes an email from Sarah Ferguson, Andrew's former wife, in which she refers to Epstein as a legend and the brother she always wished for. That single message has sparked outrage, especially given what is now known about Epstein's crimes. All of this material comes from millions of documents released by the U.S. Department of Justice as part of the Epstein files. The department says the delays were due to the need to redact information that could identify victims. The release includes thousands of videos and hundreds of thousands of images. Andrew, now 65, has been stripped of his royal titles and military roles. As is widely known, he is expected to leave Royal Lodge and move to a smaller property on the Sandringham estate in the coming weeks. It was recently reported that he threw a tantrum after viewing the new property he is expected to move into. As for his friend Epstein, he died in a New York jail in 2019 while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges.
Andrew has always denied any criminal wrongdoing, but this latest batch of files once again contains items raising serious questions of judgment, not least an email exchange from 2010, long after his close friend Jeffrey Epstein had been convicted of sexual offences involving children.
Maxwell is currently serving a 20-year prison sentence for sex trafficking and related crimes. Andrew continues to deny the allegation made by Virginia Giuffre that she was trafficked to him, and he has consistently maintained his innocence. However, as more emails come to light, the disconnect between what Andrew said publicly and what he was doing privately becomes increasingly difficult to overlook. The precise details of every interaction may never be fully known, but what these emails make unmistakably clear is that contact continued, invitations were issued, social engagement carried on, and the idea of a clean break simply does not match the documented record. This renewed scrutiny is also unfolding as photographs connected to the Epstein files have resurfaced in recent reporting, showing Andrew inside Epstein's Manhattan townhouse, positioned on all fours over a woman who appears to be lying on the floor beneath him. The woman is fully clothed, her identity has not been publicly confirmed, and no clear explanation has ever been provided for the circumstances under which the images were taken. While there is no allegation of criminal conduct shown in the photographs themselves, their reappearance has heightened public discomfort, especially when viewed alongside emails confirming Andrew's continued presence in Epstein's home and social world long after Epstein's conviction. For many observers, these images raise further questions about the true nature of Andrew's visits and whether they align with his repeated claim that he was trying to distance himself. So now I want to know what you think. Do these emails and photos change how you see Andrew, or do you believe he has been unfairly judged by association? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you want to stay updated as more of these files are released, make sure you're subscribed.